welcome to another wonderful episode of Moonlight Ponderings. This is Ronnie Moonborn.
And Severine. And Firechild.
And today we're playing 5 questions. What is 5 questions, you ask? Well, if you saw 20 questions a while back, we're going to ask each other 5 questions each. Now, we've changed the rules a little bit. This time when one asks a question, all 3 of us have to answer said question. So, without further ado, I do think Severine already has a question she's ready to ask the group.
And this one's for Firechild.
Yeah. But, I mean, we all have to answer it.
Yeah, I'm not liking her already.
So, would you be able to participate in a ritual in which spiders were present on your body?
I knew that's what she was going to say. This is okay. She says in which spiders are present. I can deal with granddaddy long leg spiders. Yes, I could do a ritual where those are present.
But not tarantulas.
No.
See, for me it would be snakes, not spiders. I have no problem with spiders. But see, you're not bothered by them. Snakes bother me. At this moment right now in my life, while I'm getting okay with touching a snake, guys, I've touched a snake, by the way.
Woo, we're so proud.
And, but I'm still not okay with them being on my body. I saw this Facebook video. Apparently snake massages are a thing where they put these big snakes just all over your body. And I'm like, oh no, that's my own personal hell. No thank you.
And in the meantime, me and Firechild would be perfectly fine with it because we held 2 snakes when we went to Pagan Park.
Alright, Severine.
So cuddly.
So what are you afraid of?
I could not. It would be absolutely impossible for me to do a ritual with a cockroach on me.
Oh, nope.
Well, that's just filthy.
I'd be more disgusted than anything else. I'm not afraid of them.
But that feeling of uncleanliness.
Yeah, see,
I used to have nightmares about cockroaches.
Well, honey, I can understand their disgusting. I know. Every creature in creation has a purpose.
Cockroaches don't, though.
But that does not mean I have to like all creatures. I personally don't understand the point of mosquitoes. When someone can adequately tell me why we need mosquitoes.
Oh, I can actually tell you because they get rid of the other bugs. They eat the other bugs.
What other bugs are worse than mosquitoes that they eat?
I don't know. I guess like fleas and flies.
I mean, I can deal with flies.
But you would, at a great amount that there would be if there were not mosquitoes.
Okay, we're gonna have to table that one for later.
However, cockroaches, there's no reason for a cockroach to exist. There's no reason that I can think of. If you know a reason, by all means, please comment it, but it won't make me get cuddly with one. I had a nightmare when I was a kid that a cockroach flew up off of a table into my hair and just got stuck there. And nothing I could do could get it out.
Oh.
And then, when I was in college, I was visiting a friend, and I woke up with one on my nose.
Oh no!
Oh my! Oh,
so I know that I could not handle a cockroach being on me.
And to that friend, we're not going to name you to publicly shame you, even though I kind of want to.
Anyway, Ronnie, do you have a question you'd like to ask the group?
So my first question is, I think I've asked this question before, but you weren't present, and our views might have changed on that question, so I'm going to ask it again. How would you feel about being involved in a ritual sky-clad with others?
I wish you guys could see the face, because it's just...
Okay, I'm just going to start this by saying I don't think there's anything wrong with going sky-clad. If that's how you roll, that's fine. I'm personally not comfortable with my nakedness around other people's nakedness. I mean, if somebody else just happens to be naked, I mean, that's them, and, I'm cool with it, but I don't feel at this point in my life, you know, my feelings may change, but I don't know that I'd be too keen on it.
I feel the same way, unless it's someone that I'm like intimately sexually involved with. I can't see myself being like, yes, let's get naked and call the corners, you know? It's just, I'm not comfortable with my body, and that's part of it. But it's just, I guess to me, nakedness still implies sex. I am a guy, I can't help it.
Well, and I guess because I've kind of done a lot of, one of my coworkers is really awesome into body positivity, and I really enjoy body positivity myself. And for me, like, I think we've sort of sexualized the body, but really, like, if we were, you know, just walking around naked all the time,
it wouldn't be a thing.
It wouldn't be a thing. And I think that
well,
to me, like, if the two of you decided to get naked in front of me, I don't think I would be bothered.
Well, I'm taking off my clothes now.
I've actually seen Firechild pretty close to naked, but I mean, we've been friends for a while, and we're both women, and that's nothing for a woman. Like, for the most part, most women that I know do not have a problem getting naked in front of another woman, unless you know that other woman is interested in you in some way. Then yes, but
it's just we men. Our masculinity is such a sensitive issue to us.
And if it wasn't, if we were raising people to be not sensitive about that, if you were teaching kids, like, if you want to have a butterfly face paint going on, that's totally cool with me, and you weren't questioning their masculinity or telling them they needed something manly.
Well, like, because I really want kilts to be a common thing.
Oh, yes.
Because, let me tell you, I get jealous of women not having pants on. It's just like...
In public.
In public, yes. It's just,
I'm going to tell y'all what, I own so many long dresses. And every time someone's always like, why are you dressed up? And I'm like, I don't want to match two pieces of clothing. And I can sit like a man because you can't look up my skirt.
Yeah, I turn to dresses a lot more now than I used to, just because some of these are days where I'm just not even about that pants life.
But, like, I do want to state for the record, I don't believe in body shaming, and I think the human body is a beautiful thing.
Well, I don't think it's shaming by saying that you feel uncomfortable. You've been conditioned to feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, and that's a sad thing. Like Severine said, we need to get better raising our little human beings to not be such terrible big human beings to make other people feel bad because maybe their body looks different, or maybe their body doesn't look like this ideal that, you know, has been touted in the media for
unrealistic
far too
ideals
long.
too, though.
Very like, you know, a woman with a size 12 waist. I mean, hey gals, kudos to you if you have that size 12 waist. I know that is not easy, but I mean, that's not me. That's not any woman that I know. And most women that I know, you know, we're fluffy, and you know.
Now, when you say size 12, that means it's 12 inches round.
Well, you know, a 12-inch waist. I mean, like I said, I know that's a thing, but I don't feel that just because someone does it and
Your
thinks
poor
that they're
intestines.
beautiful, you know, think that it's beautiful, that everybody should have to ascribe to the same ideal of beauty. I feel like beauty is subjective. Mm-hmm. Everyone makes it what they want it to be, and I think as a society we need to be okay with that. We need to be okay with everyone thinking that they're beautiful, you know, however they are, as you know, as they are.
And that being said, I'm not advocating obesity by any means. I do think that, like, you should strive to be healthy in some form of fashion, but a woman with curves is beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm kind of a big chick. I'm not a size 6 anymore, but you know, it's like I'm not so big that I'm unhealthy. But I mean, I've seen people, carrying more weight than I have, and they can run a lot farther than I can. So, and once again, I feel that the standard of health is going to depend on the individual too. Because hey, if you're a big man or a big chick and you're healthy, well, who cares? What you look like. If you're healthy, at the end of the day, I think that's all you should have to concern yourself with.
And to be honest, people are attracted to different body types.
That's
true.
I'm
not attracted to just one set of body types. Like, for some reason, sometimes I think a man with titties is kind of hot.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that muscle-bound god I'm drooling at too. Or the woman who is... Curvy women really do tend to do it for me, I have to say. I like a curvy woman. When it comes to women, I'm more set in my ways than I am with men, But, moving right along, because we'll be on this subject forever.
We could be, because I was at one time a size 5, and I just remember being miserable. Like, I have blood sugar problems, and my blood sugar is so much better now than when I was a size 5. And I mean, like, it would drop. I would have tingling sensations in my fingers. And, I mean, I was eating what they told me I should be eating. But I think that people's idea of what you should be eating and what should be healthy is based on one type of person. And not every type of person can just go and do...
That tingling was just your magic trying to come out. So, Firechild, what's your question?
Okay, so you close your eyes one day, and then you open them and you see your Patronus. What is it?
Interesting. So, first thing that comes to mind. Nothing. I'm doomed forever.
You're the villain off the Never-Ending Story?
Oh.
Yes. My Patronus.
Well, he is shade.
Is probably my Patronus. Actually, I think it would probably be a lion.
What comes to my mind?
Or a swan. Either one of those. A lion or a swan.
I'm seeing otters.
Aww. Yeah, because I didn't actually say, but I was kind of hoping they would kind of just spout the first thing that comes to mind. And a wolf actually popped up into my head. Yeah.
One of my guardians is a wolf.
Which is funny because wolves are scary to you.
Actually, werewolves are scary and dogs are scary. Like certain dogs. Like, I actually find the Target dog kind of terrifying.
Oh,
I think he's so scary looking. I don't know how anyone thinks he's cute.
I think he's adorable.
The devil is alive.
See, I have the cutest dog in the world, so...
Well...
She's half seal. Like, literally, guys. She looks like a seal.
Oh my goodness, she does. Oh, Honey Bunches looks like she was a seal in her previous life.
She probably was. But other than otter, probably peacock.
Oh my goodness, of course.
I mean, let's be honest.
Severine, your next question?
Oh my goodness, I don't know.
Round 2.
If someone came to you about a problem they were having being influenced by another person and wanted that person out of their life, what would be the comfortable way you feel like to do that?
Oh,
would you be cool with hexing them or?
Okay, so we have actually had this discussion amongst ourselves, and while there is an overly negative connotation toward hexing, I do understand that there are, good witches who hex, and the purpose is to protect themselves, to dissuade certain other individuals from coming around or trying to influence them. So, now since I've been doing a bit more research on the topic of hexing, I feel like I am not quite as inclined to that gut reaction I used to have of, oh, that's bad, oh, that's, dark magic, and, hexes are trying to hurt people. So I feel like it would be a situation by situation basis with certain individuals. Maybe all you need is something that would just repel them. Maybe it's certain, like with some people, I have known some people to repel other people because based on a certain scent that other person didn't like. So the person found a cologne or perfume or essential oil bearing that scent. And things like those are, viewed to be pretty innocent in nature. Now, although I do feel that there are some people who maybe their malicious intent isn't exactly to physically harm you in any way, but if they are actively trying to antagonize you and otherwise make your life more difficult, and if they're pretty dead set on it, maybe a hex is just the way to go. I mean, if that's what it takes to get this person to leave you alone and to get them to stay away from you, okay, I'm down for that.
I'm gonna have to say that I kind of see that. I feel like I would want to eliminate all other possibilities first. Like, can we just do something like, because usually in a situation like that, it's that they're paying too much attention to you for whatever reason. So maybe you could do something sort of like make yourself invisible to them or repel them, like you said, with the scent or whatever. I feel like I'd want to eliminate all possibilities, all options before doing something like that, because I feel like it could bring a bad situation to you if that's your first instinct to go to that.
So, my response is going to be slightly darker.
Oh my goodness.
Anybody surprised?
And you guys know me, though. I normally am all about light and positivity.
This is why his Patronus is the nothing.
Having been recently made an uncle, I would have to I'm very protective of my niece and nephew. And I would have to be like, that person coming to me, like, what is the severity of why they're coming to me? Like, if it was a girl who was raped, motherfucker's gonna die. I'm sorry. Like, I'm gonna call on all the powers I can, because that is one of the most foulest things I believe you can do to another human being. But if someone would hurt mine or something like that, I can't say that I would find a light way to deal with it. I think I would be like, no, I'm taking this one down. I have the ability, it's gonna happen. But for the most part, I would encourage, like, if it's just someone you don't get along with, but they tend to be like your enemy, try to find a spell that positively, I can't talk. Positively will remove that enemy from your life. Like, there was this woman I did not get along with at work. I think I might have told the story already. I can't remember.
You told me. I don't know if you've told the podcast.
She made my life hell at work. Well, I just started praying to those who would listen. Please, I don't want her to get fired. I don't want anything bad to happen to her. I just want her to get away from me. She ended up quitting. And I was like, that's a positive way to go about it, I do think there are positive ways to do it, but for something severe, I feel like let the punishment fit the crime a little bit,
Yeah, because see, I've been an aunt for a very long time, and I have two teenage nephews now, and even though they're both taller than me, that doesn't make me any less protective over them. So if I knew someone was actively trying to harm them, I can't say that I would ignore my gut reaction and try to find the most peaceable solution, because it is very easy to follow your instinct just to strike, lash out, and, just go ahead and deal with the action.
It's that mama bear just coming out.
Yeah, I guess, I don't have my own children to focus this on, so.
Well, I'm the oldest out of my siblings, so when someone messed with my brothers, I was like, ooh, you going down.
You don't get to mess with my brother.
Only
I get to mess with my brother.
Only I get to physically harm them.
think that's a bad thing, though. I mean, I feel like even though I would want to do everything I could to be positive, I know that I can be rash when I'm upset. So.
How do you feel?
You're not judging, honestly, not.
All right.
It's okay.
My question is, how do you feel about reading a tarot card spread for someone that you can tell is skeptical of tarot cards?
This is
Honestly, I would. It depends on how skeptical. Are they on the skeptical of like I've exhausted every option and this is my only one? Or are they skeptical on the they think it's a joke? Because if they think it's a joke, there's really no point because it will be a joke. Tarot is very much what energy you put into it.
Yeah, see, I completely agree. I have actually done a tarot reading for someone that I could feel, way deep down, thought it was just a bunch of gibberish. But I said to myself, I will treat them as I would anyone else asking for a reading. And the very first time I did it, to me, it was understandable that it turned out to be a bunch of nonsense. Because, maybe the cards were just as fed up with the situation as I was. And they were like, you know what? We ain't even expelling all this energy tonight. And then
Wasting my time.
Outside of that, to me, it's not a game. It's not a parlor trick. It's not something that I do for someone else's amusement. So, if it's not something that you're actually interested in, or that you might want to learn something more about, if you don't care about it either way, that's fine. You do you. You do whatever you do to find answers. But if you really don't care at all, I'm not the person to come to, because I'm pretty sensitive to energies, and that kind of energy I've found can really throw off what could have otherwise been a good reading. Because I have a friend who is not in tune with this type of thing, and I've done a couple of readings for her, and one time she came to me later on after the reading because she didn't understand what it was going on about at the time, and then she came back to me later and said, so let me tell you what happened. And because it's like sometimes when I do a reading, I see certain scenes playing out in my head, but if I don't specifically feel led to share these visions with the other person, sometimes I won't. But the situation she described to me was pretty much exactly what I had seen while I was, performing this reading. And I told her, I'm like, it's crazy that you mentioned this, because when I was doing your reading, so, there's been situations. Yes, I say she was skeptical in the fact that it wasn't her kind of thing that she does, but, she's a very open-minded individual. And so I didn't mind at all doing a reading for her just to see what the cards would have to say. And the fact that she was interested, I felt, really boosted the experience.
If you're talking about who I think you're talking about, now she kind of does take the cards a little serious.
Well, and because you know exactly who I'm talking about, she's had certain experiences with us at different times, but there was one particular experience with me and Severine and Severine's significant other at the time, where we were riding around where they used to live, and we passed by this graveyard, unassuming looking graveyard in the daytime. Well, come evening time, apparently there was something just sitting there chilling. No one else in the car sees it, but the one person who had never had a noticeably spiritual experience in her life. She sees it. We felt it. But she is the only one who saw it. And since then, I feel she has had certain, other experiences that are kind of leading her to, maybe investigate new ways of information gathering.
I feel personally, I won't mind doing a tarot reading for someone who They might just think it's fun. Not necessarily they don't believe in it, but, it'd be fun to do. That I don't mind doing a tarot reading for. Because I do feel like maybe they'll pick up on something like, wow, this is strangely, like, fitting in. Mm-hmm. And then not necessarily convert them, but it'll give them newfound respect for the art. Mm-hmm. All right, it's your turn, Firechild.
Let's see. Oh goodness, why is this so difficult? Okay. All right. How about we kind of maybe briefly describe the experience that we feel really shook our faith ever since coming into this form of spirituality.
Okay, I guess I can go first. What really made me go, wow, this is real, was me and Firechild, and at the time a mutual friend of ours, were doing this ritual, and I think I might have even I know I brought this up in the podcast, but this feeling of power just emerged. I mean, like, we had this door to the balcony that was locked. It was not even just closed, but it was locked. And I could just feel that something good wanted to come in, something powerful and good wanted to come in. And I look at the door, and it unlocks, and it opens up with a huge gust of wind and opens it. That is when I was kind of just like, ooh, I'm playing with something that I need to either get serious about or I need to leave it alone,
I would say for me it was when we did our supermoon ritual. That was probably like the okay. I mean, for a while, and I mean, like, even before I was officially starting to practice, when I was still Christian and with my significant other at the time, I was like, I'm having these feelings or whatever, and I knew, but I mean, I just didn't really, like, I guess, accept it and sort of go, yeah, this is it, until that point.
Okay, let's see. I think the first time was during a ritual that Ronnie was present for, and the mutual friend that he mentioned earlier. We were performing a ritual. It was probably a Samhain ritual, and at that time I was really just kind of trying to feel out elemental magic. I was leaning toward fire, but at that point I wasn't sure. So at the start of the ritual, the friend and Ronnie were trying to get these candles lit, and for the life of them, the lighter was not working. So then they just look at me and said, "Hey, why don't you give it a try?" And I'm like, "Okay." And I strike the lighter, and this huge, big flame comes up, and I'm like, "Okay." So I light the candles, and then at one point, when the ritual was getting heavy, the flames of the candles were threatening to go out, and so I just took to focusing my energy at the candles, and they just flared up. It was a crazy experience because up till then nothing like that had ever happened to me. So that was what kind of convinced me that fire might be my primary.
So we're on round 4 or
3?
3.
How do you handle a tarot spread that comes up for someone and you can tell that someone is going to die in their spread?
Oh my goodness, that has never happened. My gut intuition is telling me to be honest. I mean, like, because worst case scenario is you don't tell them, and then, like, they're not prepared. I mean, because that's the one thing about tarot is like when you're asking, especially for future stuff, you take what's given to you. I mean, you can't control it. I secretly hope I never have that happen.
I hope not too. I feel like it would be really hard. I feel like I would really struggle with that because then they're gonna do what they can probably to prevent it, and you can't prevent it if it's meant to happen.
If it was telling their death, I don't think I could.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think I could. I would just be like, you need to be prepared for a new transition. I would word it so.
Firechild's face. She's like, transition.
Oh my! Yes, please prepare for your transition out of the physical realm permanently. No, it's just the way you said it was just kind of. I was so not prepared. Oh my God! But this has a person's death has never been something that popped up in a spread. Now I have seen where someone was about to encounter, some serious trials, as I'm sure everyone else here has also seen. So, and that kind of thing, it's like, okay, you've got some difficult times ahead, so you've got some preparations you need to make so that you can be ready for this. But I feel that if it was seriously a situation where someone was in danger of losing their life, I would try to kind of just avoid the reading maybe at first, just to be sure. Maybe, okay, tell them maybe I don't understand what's going on with it at the moment, and maybe just try again. If it's something that serious, I think I would give the cards a shuffle and just try again. Now, if it's a message that is clearly meant, because I've had situations where I wasn't sure. It seemed really bad, and I was questioning myself in the cards. I'm like, are you sure this is what you meant to say? Reshuffled it, everything, and it was the same thing. So I honestly feel like if it's a message that serious, it's gonna pop up again.
Yeah,
I agree, I'm not gonna do a reading for someone that wants to know when they're gonna die. I will refuse to do that reading.
Yeah.
I'll just be like, no offense, but I don't feel comfortable learning that information.
Oh no, I would not want. I would never do a reading that would be like, are me and my spouse gonna stay together or something like that. I feel like,
are they cheating on me?
I'm
not doing petty. I'm not doing petty things.
If you're
like
asking that question,
then maybe
there's a reason you're asking.
You already have your
question.
answer.
Yeah, if you're asking that question, there's doubt and there's not as much trust as there should be. And if you're asking about when you're gonna die, I mean,
Why?
Why would you want to know? I'd rather not ever know. Don't tell me when I'm gonna die. If I die tomorrow, cool. If I die 50 years from now, really cool. If I die, never, that would be great too. But I mean, probably not. And
I feel like I just get tired of
tired of living.
No. Oh no!
That's what it sounded like.
Shut up! No, I feel like I don't know. I feel like maybe things would get.
She's gonna get to be 125. I'm so done with life.
Oh my God, she's a horrendous, and you don't know, she is a terrible, terrible human being. But anyway, I feel like after a while, maybe things would get kind of monotonous, and you would just wonder, well, what else is there? Shut up. Ugh.
So what I heard is at 125, she's probably gonna kill herself.
Dear gods.
Ma'am, why are you going on the roof?
You
have a walker? Why are you going on the roof?
Ronnie, please ask your question.
Yes, because Megan. Anyways, my question, I have my last 2 questions figured out, which is rare. And I just forgot them both.
How dare you?
Give me one moment to get back on track. Okay, if you had to choose between eternal youth or eternal life, what would you choose?
When does youth start? Does it start?
Like you, okay, let's say right the age you are right now.
Oh, okay.
But is that one of those things like you still only live approximately how old you would be?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, what?
Like let's say your average age dies like 95. You would still die at 95, but you're gonna look like a 20-something-year-old until then.
Man, I feel like that.
Or do you want to just live forever?
I feel like, you know, really, Ronnie. I feel like it would really mess with you if technically you're still aging, but you only look like you're 27. Well, then it's like, man, why do I have all this rheumatoid arthritis?
Okay, but okay,
and
you won't have any of those. You won't have any of those.
So
your body
have,
would stay.
So you have youth.
And youth and vitality. You still have that.
So,
okay, so you don't just look young.
Or
stays
you
young.
stay eternally old.
So then that brings up another important question. That would mean like you would not die of
Disease or anything.
Well,
yeah, because there are diseases that kill young people every day.
But if you don't have any of those at your current state of being, this is it. Like you might lose weight or gain weight, but that'd be it.
So then you're just gonna drop dead one day. Honestly,
Like in your sleep, die of old age.
or
be 1,000 years old, but you look like you 1,000 years old.
Why are you looking at me like that?
She hasn't picked a side yet. I'm really wanting to see which option she chooses.
She's gonna politician it.
I'm trying to play devil's advocate. Because okay, you live forever, but that doesn't specify that you get to stay the age that you are. So you're gonna age for 1,000 years. So eventually, okay, I get to live 2,000 years, but I'm a walking skeleton. I am Jack Skeleton's
Well, no, I mean you
sister
wouldn't.
now.
You wouldn't be. You'd still have like physical body, but I mean you'd just be really wrinkly. I imagine.
Anyway, there's only so far in that your wrinkles can travel before you are a skeleton. Well, let's go ahead and make that known. But so there's that. So I stay young until I die peacefully in my sleep.
What about you, Severine?
I feel like I feel the same way, just because I think that. I guess because in my mind, I think there's a reason that humans are only supposed to be here 100 years at a time at most. So, I feel like there's something to that.
Well, like your soul's not done growing.
Exactly. I feel like you move on into another body. So I guess either answer really to me, like, I mean, I'm like, wow.
Yeah, because I don't want to be stuck here because. In the grand scheme of things, I don't know where my spirit's at in its journey. If I'm stuck here, either that means that I am actively preventing myself from reincarnating and possibly growing, or maybe.
And also, what if in your next life you're like Bill Gates rich?
Well,
I mean,
can we just fast forward to that life then?
Firechild takes dagger and stabs into her heart now.
I'm just saying. But no, so it's like either I'm preventing myself from my next stage of spiritual growth, which shame on me, or, I mean, heck, what if at the end of my life, that's it? What if this life was my last one and I get to go to Nirvana, take a long walk, go to Elysium, whatever you believe is the end of your physical incarnations.
Valhalla.
Yeah, Valhalla.
Yeah, wow.
I don't want to go to Valhalla. That is just a place where you go to fight a war. I'm like, I suffered enough in life. Now you want me to suffer in my afterlife?
I'm not suffering in the afterlife. I'm sure you don't feel pain and stuff. You just get to be
Meanwhile,
glorious in
Odin's
battle.
making my room right now in Valhalla. Going,
Yeah.
oh, I see how you are.
All right. Odin's waiting on you, Pa. Really? That was so uncalled for.
It's wood.
I didn't ask you to throw it onto these coals.
Anyways, my answer is I would take the youth and vitality, because then that way, that's something I don't have to worry about, at least, is, disease, suffering from old age. I'd get to see all my family. Now, it would be a little sad if I had kids and then I see them get older than me. That would be a little sad.
Well, you still have to watch your family get older than you.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I would probably feel the same way, just because like it would eliminate pain of age.
And I'm not saying that when you get old, getting old is a horrible thing by any means. It's just,
No.
if I had to pick between the two, I would want the one where I still transition into a new life towards the end.
Yeah.
And just because I don't want to see my children die. Because that's what would happen is if you had eternal life. You see all your loved ones die.
And you can do that. You can do that even through living just this one life. Anything could happen, but I feel like watching
it's certain to happen,
scores and scores of people die around you. Your family and friends, their children, their children, their children, and so on. Every single person that you ever come in contact with is gonna die, but you'll still be here.
To be truly immortal does sound very sad to me.
It sounds really lonely.
Your next question, Firechild.
What is the scariest spiritual experience you've ever had?
Well, I was on the astral, but it was while I was asleep. It started while I was awake, but then I literally got out of it, and then I went to sleep. But I was actually outside of my body watching, and there was this I was in this old house. It was big, and there were these children there, and they were by themselves. And it was their parents had a bunch of kids, and they left them by themselves for that particular night, and I couldn't remember if it was going to be an extended period of time. And I remember just feeling something was bad. Something was wrong. Something bad was going to happen. Just an ominous feeling. And I remember going through the house, and I'm very particular about my locks anyway at our house. And so is Firechild. Both of us are when we come in at night, I know she checks, and then I check. I go to every door, and I check to make sure it's locked. And I kind of took that into effect while I was in this astral realm. And one of the kids had a cat, and the cat knocked over something that unlocked one of the doors and opened the doors. And by the time I got there, because I saw it happen, but by the time I got there, whatever bad thing it was had already gotten in. And I just remember kind of trying to find the children that were in the house, and they were all in this room, and there was this entity there, and it looked like just this sort of psych ward crazy man in these black and white stripes on his shirt. And I remember that he had this knife, and he was coming towards them, but the longer it went, the more I could tell that he wasn't human, because he didn't move like a person. He didn't have...
You have some creepy stuff happening.
He didn't have bones. He was moving that spell in Harry Potter that they do.
The Jelly Man.
He was moving like that. And I remember it ended with Sapphire showing up, weirdly enough, and jumping in front of me protectively, and just she screeched. Sapphire is my cat, by the way. She screeched at him, and this white light came out of her mouth and obliterated him.
Aww.
So, and I don't want any of you out there to think that I seriously hate cats. I like cats. I pick at Ronnie and Severine about their cats because their cats just get up to no good like all the time. They are always into some shenanigans. So it's like I tell them all the time, you know, cats are the devil. And when she told me about this dream the first time, I said, "See, I told you." But it, you know, and it's just like one of those situations that was funny because. You know, I always give. Well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I've always been more of a dog person, but I do like cats. I coexist pretty easily with most cats.
So those who know me, especially spiritually, know that I tend to carry this thing I call the nope shield. That's just naturally around me, that prevents me from experiencing negative supernatural things. Well, this was shortly after a very big hurricane had came through here, and you two had just moved in here not that long ago. We were walking through here because I think Severine had to get some supplies. We were going to go stay with a friend at the time at her place because she had power. We did not. And, kid you not, we heard noises upstairs. Mm-hmm. Mind you, it's an old house, so, you know, when you're walking around... houses creak, so it could very well have been that. But needless to say, we had to go upstairs because we were investigating this because we were like, we strong people, we can go up here and see what's going on. I wish we didn't, because we go up there and we're like, everything seems fine, but it's just eerie. The whole time felt ominous and eerie. And as we're turning to go back downstairs, I felt someone kiss me. And I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. I was like, we gotta get out of here now, because something physically touched me that I can't see, and I am not down with that. We later found out that it was a dark entity, and it meant harm to anyone who entered this house. One big exorcism later, everything is fine. But that was one of the scariest things I think spiritually has happened to me.
Well, both Ronnie and Severine know about this, especially Severine because she was there. I know that a lot of people have heard a lot of things regarding possession. But as someone who has experienced it firsthand, I can say that 2 times it's happened to me, those are probably the scariest things that have ever happened to me. And the very first time it happened, one of my others, the whole assembly, they were trying to figure out, okay, what's the game plan, because I wasn't at home. I was actually staying with a couple of other friends, both of whom were out at the time, and Severine and her significant other just happened to be in town, and one of my others who had never communicated with either Severine or her significant other pulled Severine to the side and told her what was happening, and basically said, we are going to need your help with this because where we are seriously ill prepared. We can't set things up the way we would like to. So the whole time I had been actually pulled out of my body by my familiar, and I was semi-conscious of what was going on here. So I remember feeling things. I don't remember seeing anything, but I remember feeling and hearing certain things, and most of what I was focused on was this particular entity that was attacking me, because most of the attack was on the astral realm, but it was bleeding over into the physical, which was causing the problems that my others sought help with. So Severine and her significant other made some quick preparations and performed an exorcism, and I don't remember seeing what was happening out here, but I just remember this great feeling of sadness, and and it felt like somebody was crying. So when I was finally able to come to, when the exorcism was finished, I look at Severine and she's just in tears and she looked terrified, you know, and all I could do was just apologize because I felt bad that she had been pulled into that situation in the first place, and I know that the others wouldn't have done it if there had been any other way, but it was one of those things where, you know, they felt like they couldn't put it off. It just happened. It just had to happen at that time.
And for the record, this was like before her witchy awakening also. Severine's, that is.
Yeah, so a lot of it was really confusion because my significant other, although we were Christian, he was also very into Jewish practices. So I can tell you that from this experience, he was wearing a tallit, and I don't know if you guys know much about Judaism, but it's basically sort of like something you wear over your shoulders, sort of like a cloak or almost like a giant scarf, and you can cover your head with it and things like that. And he was reading from the Torah, an exorcism, the passage for exorcism, and her others asked me if I would. We picked out stones, and that was my first time ever like experiencing anything with crystals or anything like that. They were all tumbles. I remember that, and they were like, if you could just place these over the designated area, and I didn't believe in it at the time. I mean, you know, it was one of those things of like, she's asking me to do this. This is important to her. I'm going to do it. She believes in it. But as it went on, I could sort of pick up there was something going on with it. And it was very intense. And it freaked me out because it sort of challenged where I was spiritually already. And that was probably where the doubts of where I was spiritually were starting to come out.
I didn't mean to pull you away from your Christianity.
Yes, she did.
You
Don't believe
Satan
those
worshiper,
lies.
how dare you? Honestly, it was a good thing, though. I mean, it was a good thing. I needed it.
Me being possessed was a good thing.
Okay, well, in some way.
You're a terrible human being.
Something positive came out of a negative experience.
There may be something that was there that there wasn't before.
Let's hope not. I want it to be gone.
Well, I mean, like the awakening. That is.
Oh my.
Next question, round 5.
Oh my god.
Are we already on round 5?
Yep, we
Yeah.
are.
Girl, it's like, how many? We're almost an hour in.
Oh my goodness.
Can you imagine if we had done all 20 questions?
All right, what's your
5
final,
hours later.
What's your final question?
What color do you feel like your magic would be? And what do you think it would come out like?
Black velvet.
Oh.
No.
Bubble baths.
Hashtag watch Big Mouth. No, I don't know. I guess it would depend on my mood. Like, if I was enraged, maybe, like, fiery colors or passionate. But if it was, like, something calm and healing, maybe, like, a soothing blue or something. I don't think it would have one distinctive color.
For me, I always see mine sort of as blue, but it's like vines and roses. Like, if I were to touch you and I kind of am just like meditating or whatever, then that's how I visualize it, is these blue vines, this electric blue vines are going up and these roses are budding and blooming.
Interesting.
Well, most of the time, honestly, I kind of see it as fire, and the color and nature of the fire change. Like, sometimes it's a really kind of a wispy flame, sometimes it's a really strong roaring flame, and the color changes. But now I've also seen feathers. I've seen leaves. So while it is fiery most of the time, it has kind of changed, and that's kind of challenged me in a way to try to explore why it was different, and possibly to try to channel magic differently to cause this to intentionally happen, because maybe the different magics have their own purpose, and I can actually, utilize that.
As far as the flow goes, it changes also. Like, sometimes it's almost smoky the way it comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Other times it's like, bam, flashes or something I visualize. Or tendrily, almost. Not tentacles, because that sends the wrong kind of thing.
Yes, tentacles.
But like, like that curly twininess, that kind can happen.
Well, and I say, like, for me, I try to do more visualization when I'm putting energy into it, because I sort of feel like it makes it stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've noticed it does. It seems like it does. Like, when we've ever done a spell or whatever, and I'm visualizing it, it seems like it intensifies what I'm working on. I don't know.
That makes sense. I mean, I guess a strong visualization helps with the practice.
Hashtag Ronnie is tentacles.
Hashtag Ronnie is secretly Air Cthulhu.
Anyways, my question, and final question that is, it's not that important, I just had to clear my throat.
Are you sure?
Yes.
I feel like it was.
Is there any type of healing ritual or practice you would refuse to do?
I guess that would depend.
Are there any that you know of that you would
What
do?
do you what are
No, I want you to think about it, and then I will tell you my answer.
I probably would not use a singing bowl with just anybody. Because I feel like not everyone's energies mesh up together.
Okay.
I feel like I can usually pick up on someone and whether or not I feel like they're a good person to work with. And there have been some people that I have either watched or have met in person that I'm like, that's probably not a good idea to participate in something with that person. Because there's a store that we don't frequent, but there was one night that there was a girl working there, and it was just like, I mean, I think this person we talked about who doesn't usually feel anything, she had a headache after we left the store. And not saying that the girl is a bad girl or anything like that, because I don't think that. I don't think just because
just
our
negative
energies,
vibes were put out, or wrong vibes.
or just because our energies don't work together does not mean that your energies are bad because they don't work with me.
What you talking about? This is America. Of course it means that. Firechild?
A healing ritual that I would not want to participate in.
Oh, I thought of another one too. Would not participate in a sexual healing ritual with just anybody.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I was gonna say, and I wanted to see your faces when I brought that up.
Yeah, because honestly, when he brought that up, that was kind of the first thing that popped into my mind, just because, and I've told plenty of people this countless times, to me, sex is something intimate. I don't necessarily think you have to be like deeply in love with the person that you have sex with, but I feel like you should at least have some kind of connection that's positive. Like, if your energy and mine don't vibe well together, we're not going to be doing this ritual together.
On that note, I'm just like, I'm horny, you're horny, okay.
Well, I mean, if there's a connection, yes. I mean, if I know that you're not going to pull out a knife and think that healing me is killing me, then okay.
I'm saving you from yourself.
But, no, as far as, like,
Cleaning
a sexual healing where it truly involved me having sex with you to heal you, that might just be something I save for an intimate partner. Now, like, if it was just, like, you understanding your sexuality, where maybe you're just laying on the floor naked and meditating while I put some energies towards you, I would be more inclined to that. I'm not saying that it's a definite, yeah, I'm down for that, but I mean,
we could
like...
do some mutual masturbation. I'm totally down with
No,
that.
I mean...
But you need to be, like, on the other side of the room.
No, because especially if I'm getting paid to heal them, that would feel very prostitute-y.
You just go over there. I will tell you what to visualize.
But no, I mean, like, but I'm guiding your healing as far as, like... No, I don't even want you masturbating while I'm doing this. It's just more so, like... You're just getting in touch with your body without touching your body. I mean...
Firechild is making a face right now. I think we broke her.
No, I think she agrees with me that I ain't getting paid to be a prostitute, so... Exactly.
VD's a thing, kids. Play safe.
No, I don't want to discourage anyone's sexual acts. I mean, maybe you're okay with doing that. If you're okay with doing that, then... on you. And I think we've had that conversation in our last 20 questions game, but I still stand by that. I'm just like,
well, personal comfort is personal comfort.
Exactly. I can't heal you if my mind's on sex, especially if it's with someone I don't feel sexually connected to.
Well, I suppose it's because of my own practices that sex is a big part of what I do magically.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, like, sex is like coffee. If I have sex, I feel super energized afterwards. It does something positive to me. So I definitely
She's a succubus.
I have had some people leave and say that they're, like, tired afterwards. So I guess that's somewhat positive. But anyway, that being said, I feel like if you're not comfortable with it, if you're not okay with it, or you're not jiving, there has to be a connection. If you're gonna have, I can't just go off the street, find a person, and be like, "Hey, you, let's go have sex."
Sure, she can.
I really can't. Like, if I'm not feeling that attraction, if I'm not feeling there's something to it, I can't just have sex with someone.
Nah, come on.
So, I mean,
Firechild, your final question.
The last question. Da, 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 da.
Okay.
We broke her. She has to think.
Technically, I guess this game should be called 15 questions because...
well, no, because...
Well, it's 5 each, but whatever.
Well, we all like to I feel like there's kind of an ideal sort of space that we all like to practice magic in. What would be your ideal magical space, like, if it's any place in the world you could be?
Ooh, I like that.
I feel like the most magical place I've ever been personally is a river. For some reason, like being on the river in a canoe, something's very magical about that to me.
I would say a private beach.
So that you could be all sky-clad?
No, just because, let's say the three of us were doing a ritual together, I wouldn't want just someone walking up on us.
Well, I wouldn't want that even if we were sky-clad. Like,
Well, that too, but like...
Even if we weren't, like, I would still want the privacy.
But yeah, sure, I mean, like, if I'm at a private beach and it's just me, yeah, sky-clad. I don't know, I think I'd be focusing on the fact that I'm naked out in the open too much. I think it might take away from it for me personally.
The wind is blowing between my testicles.
Don't be bringing my boys up in this.
That was so not necessary.
Okay, alright. Well, if it was me, the wind is blowing my titties around. Flap, flap, flap.
Oh, anyway, I feel...
And suddenly we're trying to fly.
Forgive us, please.
For we know not what we do.
Yes,
I know what they do.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
I feel like the most magical place I could think of would be a lake in the middle of a forest. I don't know why, but lakes, the idea of lakes have always appealed to me. And after actually spending time at a lake this summer, it was even more magical than I could have imagined. But the idea of being surrounded by trees, you know, having that
and a cabin nearby.
That I feel like that would be it for me.
Ooh, and maybe even in the woods, but like in a clearing type area when it's just like misty. I feel like there's something magical about that too.
We might be planning our next vacation, guys. Well, that was 5 questions. I would love for you guys to give us questions that maybe ask in a later edition of this game.
Yes.
And until then, this is Ronnie Moonborn.
Severine.
And Firechild.
And we are signing out for the day. Blessed be merry meet. And as always, we love you.
Bye.
Au revoir.